PARRA'S top 5 films of 2022. Number 5, Top Gun Maverick, starring Tom Cruise. All right, Rosa, you picked
Yeah.
number 5. You have anything different to add what R&B said?
Anything else to add? No, I don't. Other than that I agree with everything Robert just said. And even though for me, I didn't grow up. Well, I did grow up with the first Top Gun film, and I believe it was released a year before even I was born. So even then, I didn't have the nostalgic aspect to go into this film. Yet it still worked for me. And I would be lying if I didn't admit that the beach scene was appealing to the eye. I can't say it
Yeah.
was not.
Yeah, baby.
But you know what? It does have the rewatchability factor. I was initially embarrassed to admit it, but whatever. I watched this movie 12 times in the movie theater. So
Wow.
What?
12
That's
times.
awesome.
Yeah, 12 times. And and you know what? I think it's getting re-released, or it did already. I'm probably gonna go watch it again because that's the best way to go watch it. Just
I
add to
love
that
it.
number. So yeah,
Love it.
it's just a movie that I completely loved, and I just loved everything about it. The story, it's heartfelt. I also teared up with the Val Kilmer scene and
Oof.
everything that they decided to add that into the storyline. It's just brilliantly done. And yeah. So I completely agree. Top Gun Maverick, my number 5.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, The Menu, with Anya Taylor-Joy and ensemble cast. Wow. The Menu. Huge cast. Ray Fiennes, Johnny Legs,
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know why I haven't seen this film. It's got like 2 Latinos in it. I am the Latino slant. I feel a little embarrassed. I haven't seen it. Tell us about this film. Number 4 on your list.
Yeah. You know what? The Menu, I watched it just recently. I think it was sometime last week. And talk about entertainment. This was certainly one that I had a blast watching. I went into the film under the notion that I was gonna see a certain thing per se, or a certain aspect of the movie that somehow I had developed in my brain just watching the trailer. I go into this and I am mind blown, and I'm taken into places where I'm like, what in the world is going on? It's certainly not predictable in terms of how it ends, where it's going, why these characters are acting the way they are, or who they are in the first place. And I mean, the performances are all strong. They're all great. Anna Taylor-Joy easily being the standout for me. But Ralph Fiennes, come on, Ralph Fiennes. I don't think that man has a fiber in his being, and where he can even attempt to deliver a bad or even just a normal performance. That guy is just above, above and beyond when it comes to acting, and I loved it. I absolutely loved this film. I've seen it a couple times already, and I think it's currently playing in theaters. So if you guys want to go seek it out, but yeah, not what I was expecting. Took me by
Nice.
surprise. Absolutely loved it, and I highly recommend it. It is kind of a horror-ish kind of thingy,
Ooh.
but you know what? I had a blast with it. It was very appetizing.
It's a great film.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw it as well, R&B?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And Ray,
Awesome.
look, Ray Fiennes, man, he's the man.
Yeah.
Number 3, The Banshees of Inisherin, starring Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. This is incredible. I'm a huge fan of these 2 actors, but I haven't seen the film. Rosa, school
Oh
us.
my god.
School us.
Talk about a guy who's having a spectacular year. I mean, Colin Farrell, the Batman, after Yang, 13 Lives, and now the Banshees. Holy moly, this man. Different performances, and he's just incredible. And this story, obviously, it's a smaller indie movie. It's very it's a bit of a slow burn. There's no action sequences, no planes, no nothing. So it's very much a very dialogue driven film. But what really caught me was the fact that it's so simplistic. The movie is literally about the end of a friendship, and that's it. but yeah, it's the writing, it's the interactions, it's these two actors, specifically these two actors, who just elevate such a simplistic premise up to a movie that engrosses you. You want to see what's going to happen next. You have it makes you, it keeps you on your toes in terms of, okay, what's going to happen next, in terms of something happens. I'm not going to spoil it, that the actor or the one of the guys says. So pretty much the premise is these two guys, the Brendan Gleeson character, just all of a sudden out of the blue just stops talking to the Colin Farrell character, and he says, you know what, I don't like you anymore, so just leave me alone. So we have the Colin Farrell character trying to just like comprehend what's going on. He wants to know what he did, if he did something wrong, what's going on. And it's this dynamic, it's the conversations, it's how they get along, and then eventually the extent that the Brendan Gleeson character goes to for Colin Farrell to leave him alone. And it gets, it develops, it adds layers to the story. Which again, it's mind-boggling to me because it's so simple. It's just supposed to be a simplistic story, but the scenery also, it adds so much richness and texture to it. It's beautifully shot, the script is sharp, and it's no wonder why these two actors are getting a lot of critical acclaim. And I mean, they're being nominated everywhere in critics groups, the Golden Globes, Critics Choice, and all that good stuff, because it's a movie that it's worth watching. And that ending, it has one of those interesting, compelling endings, and it leaves you thinking about friendship and the purpose of
Mhm.
having these friendships, and about being something as simple as being nice takes you a long
Mhm.
way, but also can bring problems or bring these tensions in certain relationships. And
Mhm.
it's just wonderful. It's easily one of my favorites. I've seen it a few times already just to make sure it stayed in that number. But man, what an incredible, I mean, the score is there too. It's wonderfully directed and just brilliantly acted.
Cameron, what I love about these lists is that we have so, the Top Guns, everything
Mhm.
everywhere all at once, and then there's
Mhm.
ones that are not. Smile and this. I mean, I love sharing. I just love sharing this stuff.
Well, that's what art is supposed to do, right? You know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
there's art that can be for the general population, and then there's art that's deeply personal, and there's
Hmm.
art that takes to another level. I mean, and not everyone gets art or gets it at a certain time. I mean, you look at Vincent Van Gogh, right? He basically spent his whole life being told he was a failure and his art was garbage, and he died believing that. And then now if you try to buy a Van Gogh original, it's probably $500 million easily, right? Because and so he's considered the greatest artist of his time now. Art reflects so much about what's happening to the human condition, and often
Mhm.
it takes time for the human being to process it.
Fantastic. Let's move on. Rosa, this is your number three. Now we're
Yeah.
gonna get your number two. Here we go. Number
Mm.
two, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And I spelled Pinocchio wrong. I apologize. I was tired. I checked it. I was like, I already did the video. Screw it. Pinocchio. Rosa,
I
tell
remember,
us.
yeah, I remember being on, I don't know if it was the Wakanda Forever review, and I don't know if it was, yeah, I think it was you. I told you I just watched the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio. It's
Yeah.
easily one of my favorite movies of the year. It stayed up there, and holy moly, I've seen this movie like 3 or 4 times already,
Yeah.
and I fall in love with it with every watch.
Yeah.
Holy moly, the I'm still trying to wrap my head around the reality that Guillermo del Toro directed a movie that, a story that's been told so many times,
Mhm.
yet it feels nuanced, it feels fresh, it feels like something completely new. He gave this story magic, and he gave it love, and you can see it. For a good amount of the time when I'm watching the film, I completely forget I'm watching a stop motion animation film, and I'm so invested in the story. And it's just so mind-boggling to me that I mean, it's not surprising, don't get me wrong, I know the brilliance of what Guillermo del Toro is, but this is what
Mhm.
art is. different perspective, different background in terms of filmography. He is such a horror monster guy, and we see all that here. Something that I like to label as the Del Toro-esque of it all, with his
Mm.
creatures, his designs, his stories. When Geppetto is creating Pinocchio, you have this Frankenstein look to it, and it's just stunning, visually stunning, and it's one of those very few films that has it all: voice acting, animation, visually, it's gorgeous. The story, it's just there. It's simplistic in terms of, it's of course Pinocchio, but it's more emotionally invested. You can I cried several times, and it's just a story about, like they say in the movie, imperfect sons, imperfect fathers, and it's something that we rarely see nowadays. And I mean, the score, oh my god, that score, Ciao Papa, that song has been on my head since I watched this movie, and it's been replaying and replaying and replaying. What Alexander Desplat does with this score, it just elevates it to a whole different level. I think it's not only the best animated movie of 2022, it's one of the best films, period. And I've been advocating for it to get a Best Picture nomination because it deserves it. I just watched. There's like a 36-minute video or clip or something on Netflix about the making of the movie, the behind the scenes and everything it took to do the film. I think it's called Hand Carved Cinema. And wow, I was
30
just mind
minutes long.
blown.
Yeah. 30
15
minutes.
years to make this film. And it's I think he says, if you animate the ordinary, you create the extraordinary, and that's what this film is.
Cameron?
Well, I haven't seen this film yet. Look, I think he's a brilliant filmmaker. Everything that Rosa is saying is correct. I have one critique of him, and there's a hint of that in what Rosa said. I think that he's someone that is more comfortable with visual storytelling than with narrative storytelling. I think that he doesn't grasp script as well, and I think that with time, I hope that he will learn that screenwriting is as important as all the wonderful touches that he brings that are uniquely him. I think Peter Jackson understands that better. Peter Jackson started off making genre films, zombie movies, right? All these things, and then he goes off to make Beautiful Girls, and he makes Oscar-winning dramas that understand storytelling. And so I hope for Mr. Del Toro that he starts trusting screenwriters more. Because I think that will just elevate him even further as an artist.
And at number 1 is Everything Everywhere All at Once, starring Michelle Yeoh, Rosa Parra's number 1 movie of 2022. Wow. Well, there it is.
Michelle Yeoh. I mean, Michelle Yeoh, she's just a legend. Oh my god, Everything Everywhere All at Once, man. What a inventive and creative film. I think I agree with everything that Robert Meyer Burnett said when he was talking about this movie being his number 1 as well, and with the notion that we see such a complex movie, inventive, it's quick, it's out there, it's bonkers, but also it's emotionally effective. It's and the only reason why it's literally on my number 1 is because personally I connect and I relate to the mother-daughter relationship here, as a daughter, as a mother of daughters. And I mean, for there's a scene that if I were to read on paper, I would immediately think this is not going to work. But that rock scene, it's not supposed to work.
Oh.
And it broke me. Not a single word was said. It was complete silence. Yet you just have 2 rocks with googly eyes and subtitles, and it works. And for that alone, I think that's why it's my number 1, because it makes something that it's not supposed to work, and it just emotionally moved me. I've seen it several times. I was very lucky to see it with my oldest kid, and man, it was out there. It's just incredible. The acting is there. It's so quick, and it's so like it's the multiverse of the best representation of multiverse. I also agree with that statement. And the acting, the costumes, the makeup. Oh my god, those makeups! Everything. It has everything, everywhere, all at once, and I loved it.
And these images are of Michelle Yeoh's different characters in the
Mhm.
film.
Yeah.
This was, let's not forget Jamie Lee Curtis was great in this.
Yeah,
Uh,
Stephanie Sue, man, she's being massively under recognized for her performance, but she's also to stand toe to toe with a Michelle Yeoh. It takes a lot.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, great list. I love it.